Welcome to the SGV Master Key, a show where you will hear personal stories of triumph over failures and how others successfully navigated the unique landscape that is the San Gabriel Valley. What makes us different? Well, just like you, we have chosen the San Gabriel Valley for our home or businesses or both. We believe it is the people and small businesses that make this community great, and we love to share their stories with you. We always encourage your questions and feedback, and you can find all of our contact information at sgvmasterkey.com. Here are the hosts for the show, Russell Mono and Scott Wormuth.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the SGV Master Key podcast. Today we have our guest, Cassie Lam. I'm your host, Russell.
And I'm Scott Wormuth.
Welcome to the show, Cassie, and let's get right into it. So what is your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
Well, I was pretty much raised here. We immigrated here from Vietnam. So I've been here since I was like 2 years old, raised in Monterey Park, and pretty much stayed in the San Gabriel Valley, except for college in Bay Area for about 10 years, and found my way back to San Gabriel Valley.
Okay. So you have roots here, right? Your family, yes. And I actually thought that you were born here, but you were born in Vietnam.
Correct.
Okay. So what was that experience like growing up in Monterey Park as an immigrant and an immigrant family?
You know, as an adult, I think it's such a different experience. Growing up, like as a child, everyone around us was Asian, so it was very familiar background, and you didn't really feel the class disparity or anything different but as an adult you realize, wow, we were poor immigrant working class family, and we had such a normal childhood because everyone around us was so familiar. We went to the Boys and Girls Club, we went to the park and got our free lunches that they would give out every summer, and we just thought that was really normal. We should go shop at the flea markets and, look for sales. But as you grow up as an adult, you realize, wow, we were poor, but we didn't feel poor because everyone around us made it feel so comfortable and so normal.
Right.
So.
And you have some siblings, right? Mm-hmm. How many siblings do you have?
I have 3. I have an older brother. It's like 2 grades apart. He's a pharmacist, and I have twin brothers. And they work for a gaming company, millennials.
So one thing you might feel is that this was natural. You grew up, it was normal to you. How did your parents feel? It must have been quite different for them.
My parents worked in sweatshops. So my mom, I would never see her. She would get up like at 6 a.m. and come home, I want to say like 8, 9 p.m., really late. My dad he kind of took on more of the mother role, or the person that would be more active. He would go work in the morning at the sweatshops, and he would take us to school, and he would leave work just to pick us up from school, and then go back to work, and then come home and make dinner. And my mom would show up home 2 hours, around 8 or 9. So my dad was kind of like the main caretaker.
Did they work at the same place?
Sometimes, yeah. For the most part, most of the times, depending on the season and amount of work that was needed or required.
So you describe it as sweatshop. You're talking about they were working in the clothing,
in the sewing
manufacturing, sewing factories, local, right?
Almonte.
And so how was their life, do you think? Are they still living here in Monterey Park?
They have a house in Almonte.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do they talk to you about their experience?
Yes. My parents, they talk about how fortunate we are to be able to live in America all the time, and how we should never take anything for granted, because their journey to get us here, immigrating from Vietnam, refugee camps in the Philippines, and just getting sponsored to be here legally was such a amazing, difficult journey for them.
As you were growing up, did you feel the difficulty that they were experiencing?
I could not resonate or understand that as a child because we felt so blessed to just have everything we had, and I didn't feel poor. I didn't feel deprived or anything living here in Monterey Park.
For you, that was just natural. That's what you experienced. You didn't know anything different. Of course, they could see a difference, and they've tried to tell you that there is a difference.
Yeah.
But how has that affected your own relationship with your own children? And how many children do you have? I'm sorry.
I have two. I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son.
Okay.
I think it humbles us because living here, having the opportunity to go to college and being able to make a career coming from, a poor immigrant family, it just, the opportunity and everything that we have, I really want my kids to really understand that it's something that you just can't take for granted because it's not everyone's story. And we have to work so hard. My husband's an optometrist, so we call it like the middle class, but you have to work so hard because you can lose all of it overnight.
Yeah, I've heard some stories of people in Vietnam losing everything overnight, literally, and trying to leave there because of that. So did you experience any racism, any difficulties specifically because you were immigrants, or you didn't feel that because the community was mostly Asian?
I want to say I didn't feel that because the community was mainly Asian, but more so was when I left to go to college when I was 18, and I got rejected to all the universities. I got accepted to just one, and my dad was like, "This is your lottery ticket. You got accepted to a university," and it was UC Santa Cruz, and I've never left the San Gabriel Valley. Never been on a plane. It was my first time on a plane, and I realized we were the minority. I was in like major culture shock. I didn't realize there was more races outside of Asian and Mexican in the San Gabriel Valley. So I think that was when you feel, and especially when you're a college student and you're studying and taking all these courses, and your friends are, people of color, and they had these little minority groups where they, try to empower each other because like we are the minority, and a lot of us are not even going to make it to graduate because we're, the first to go to college, and most of our families don't have college degrees. And so that was like the turning point for me to realize like, wow, this is a big deal. The education system here for these universities is not really set up for everyone to make it, especially if you're a person of color.
You went to Inez Elementary School?
Yes.
Then later on to Mark Keppel. Mm-hmm. What's the demographic there in terms of ethnicity?
I want to say Asians and Mexicans.
Mostly, right?
Yes. I think it was like a handful of Caucasians, maybe like 2 or 3 African American blacks. Yeah.
And then what was it like in Santa Cruz?
It was like 90% white. And Asian was, oh my goodness, we were like 2 to 3%.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Yes.
And that was what time period?
I graduated in 2002. So 2002.
So still fairly
I'm sorry,
recent.
1998 was when I graduated.
98.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So still fairly recent, although it's probably changed since then. But the experience there, was it like this was a different America? This was not the America you knew?
They call Santa Cruz a bubble for a reason. I mean, people there are extremely nice. It's, but it's a bubble. I mean, everyone, is smoking marijuana and going to the beach, and, life as a college student was just, it's so different from adulting, the life of adulting.
So as you were studying or, attending, and you went 4 years?
Yes, 4 years.
Did you live on campus, or
Yes.
how does it work there? Is mostly on campus living?
Yes, so I lived on campus, and my first year in the dormitories, it was co-ed showers, and it was during drought season. So, Santa Cruz is a very liberal college, had no idea what I was walking into. And there was a sign on the shower door. And it said 4 legs in the shower okay, because it is we're trying to save water, conserving water. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is so wild.
Well, yeah, just experiencing college life itself is like a huge change, right?
Yes.
And then I would imagine you might describe your upbringing as fairly conservative.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're in the most liberal campus
Oh my goodness.
of them all.
Yes.
And things must have just been like your eyes were just wide open, seeing things you had never seen before.
Yes.
On all accounts. I mean, so how could you adjust to it? I mean, you didn't have any training for being in this kind of environment. You're in all of a sudden not an ethnically diverse background. What was it like? How could you deal with it? And how long did it take to deal with that?
They offered minority students this program in the summer before you attended the university, and it was called EOP. And that program consisted of like 20, 30 students of color, and they had us live there in the summer. And so we made some really great friendships, and they offered a lot of resources. And so that kind of helped carry us over when we started our freshman year. And so they gave us a lot of resources, just in terms of like counseling, in terms of community. But I want to say that the culture at that campus, it was not a competitive college. Everyone wanted to make sure you succeeded. It was, the friendships that I made there, till this day, I still have lifelong friendships with some of these people. So for me, that was the only way I was able to get through college, was just the relationships that we had and the people, the friends that I had that were empowering me to, you're going to get through this, you're going to make it, you're going to graduate. It's not optional.
What would you say to someone in your similar situation, growing up, either their parents are immigrants or they're immigrants themselves, and they're afraid to get out of their community? I know a lot of Asians in the San Gabriel Valley, they almost never leave the San Gabriel Valley. And if they go to college, it's to a predominantly Asian college, local. What advice would you give to them?
I would say faith over fear, because things always feel harder before they get easier. And but that is when you really grow so much as an individual. I really, really would advocate for students that live here in the San Gabriel Valley to really explore, because it is such a big world out there, and there's so much opportunities. And regardless of being Asian American, you will find a way to really succeed, and just really go out there and just build relationships, find community, and you'll make it happen.
So you brought a book with you today.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes. This book is called Financial Peace University. And I want to say that this has been such a game changer for our lives, because I think, traditionally growing up here, it's okay, go to school, get a college education, and get a career and do something with your life. But no one ever taught us growing up, Asian parents are always like, save money. But they don't teach you how to save money. They don't teach you how to manage money, right? And honestly, in hindsight, I don't even felt like college taught me any of that. And so being a small business owner, we went through so many struggles of, trying to manage the finance, trying to, keep the business afloat. And it wasn't that we didn't have the customer base to support it. It was, we didn't know how to manage our money. And so, we had to take a business loan, and we had to borrow family money. And it just felt like this 100-pound gorilla on our back. Like, how are we going to maintain this practice and still, pay off all our debts? And so this class was offered at one of our churches, and it was called Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University. And this book, taught me so much more than I think I ever learned in college. So I'm so grateful for this class.
Was it a class you took at an educational facility, or is it, what was the process? What were you doing?
It was offered at the church, and they had one of the certified educators teach it like once a week. And just like anything that you learn in life, if you're not diligently applying it, then you're not going to get the most out of the class. So, but it was taught at the church.
So what was your experience? You were already a business owner. Mm-hmm. What was it that you were doing at that time?
We were struggling with trying to figure out how to pay down debt and just how we're going to make money to sustain living in such a, especially here in San Gabriel Valley. So this class taught me so much. I couldn't believe like just what you need to just have that peace and comfort so that if anything was to happen, that you would be okay.
What kind of business did you have?
We own a private practice, Optometry.
And did you just feel that you were going to lose everything? Did you feel you didn't know how to run your business and that things were going to go bad?
Yes, because I think as a small business owner, if no one has taught you the ropes on the do's and don'ts of how to run a small business, you will learn everything through failure, through plenty of mistakes, through cost, like a lot of mistakes that involve financial loss.
Well, some people would say you have to fail in order to succeed. Is that right?
I think to some degree. I think that if you have, because I feel like that's learning it the hard way, but there's nothing wrong with that because I feel a tremendous amount of growth from all our failures, and I don't feel ashamed about them. And these are skills and lessons that I can pass down to my kids. So, but I feel that if you can have the opportunity to have resources and community and someone can show you the way, why not, right?
So can I just dig into that a little bit? Mm-hmm. So you were, what did you study in college?
Business management, economics.
Okay, so you had this business training theoretically.
Yes, theoretically.
Okay, and you graduated about 98?
2002.
2002, mm-hmm. Okay. And then what did you do after college?
I stayed in the Bay Area, and I found a job I started off as a leasing consultant in the Silicon Valley, leasing luxury apartments. So I stumbled across sales. And I didn't even know what I wanted to do after college, but I did know I needed to get a job, and I didn't want to move back home with mom and dad. I wanted to hold my own ground and be financially independent. So
you were right out of school. You went to Silicon Valley, and mm-hmm. you working in leasing, and then did you stay there for a long time?
10 years.
10 years.
Yes.
Okay. And were you married at that time?
Nope.
Okay, so you were living the grand single life in the Bay Area. And what was your life experience at that time? I mean, is this pretty common, what you were doing? Other people you went to school with were doing the same type of thing?
I think most of my friends, when they graduate from college, a lot of them moved back to their hometown and probably looked for work in the area. I personally loved the Bay Area, and I stayed there. And it was such a different culture up there, the Bay Area and LA. The people are, it's very high tech, right? Everyone knows that about Silicon Valley. Lots of opportunity, especially if you're into technology, which I wasn't, but the career path that I had, it really allowed me to gain a lot of financial independence. So that's why the main reason I stayed up there.
So your life was pretty good at that time?
Yes.
And then what led you to come back then?
So I met my husband.
In the Bay Area? I
met him when I made a visit down here to LA.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you fell in love?
Fell in love, and I said I was going to marry this man. And I made I made a decision to leave the Bay Area. I did a corporate transfer to work in downtown LA, and yeah.
And developed your relationship,
Yes.
and got married. And how long have you been back in the San Gabriel Valley then?
I want to say 11 years.
Got married as soon as you came back, or how long have you been married?
No, I think I've been longer actually here in the Bay Area. I've been married for 11 years, so I think I've been back for at least 14. 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out your age. No, I'm joking. Okay, so you came back, started to, well, your oldest child is 6.
Mm-hmm.
So you went maybe 8 years before having a child, right?
Yes.
Working in business, trying to build a business, and optometry at that time.
Right.
Your husband is an optometrist?
Yes.
Okay. But I'm just trying to get an idea of what your life was like, what your, just what was going through, your mind. What is it that you were looking for? What was your dream? What was your, the vision of what was going to be a good life for you?
So I never really thought that I was going to be cut out for the world of entrepreneurship. And it was something that I stumbled across, and I wanted to support my husband with his career. And with my marketing sales background, I figured we can do this. We can buy a practice together. And with that came so many struggles. I mean, the first mistake for us was buying a practice and not even speaking Chinese in Monterey Park.
Oh, yes.
So even though I grew up in the area, it's changed a lot. When we grew up, everyone spoke English. So it's changed so much. And I left the Bay. When I moved back, I had no idea how much it had changed. So we had to make a hard decision. When we started our practice in Monterey Park, we had to relocate because we couldn't communicate with our customers. It was just way too challenging.
So you relocated to where?
Alhambra.
So was that a significant difference? Was that a...
Yeah, and it's not even that far. I mean, it's like the city next door, but it's day and night difference.
What's the difference?
The language, the language barrier. People, although some of our Chinese-speaking patients, they speak Chinese, but they can also speak English, and they're comfortable with it. So in Monterey Park, they were not comfortable with trying to speak
Monterey
English.
Park might be more of the first stop in terms of immigrants settling in, and then they would, from Monterey Park, tend to move to other places as they got more acclimated or adjusted to the U.S.
You guys bought an existing practice, right, in Monterey Park?
Yes.
And you had shared before with me some of the struggles because you had it was an existing practice. Can you share some of that?
Yes. So we bought a practice from a white doctor who had passed away, and his wife was the optician there. And what happened was we didn't realize what we were walking into, and the way they were operating wasn't kosher. And so customers would come into our practice and say, well, this is not the way it used to operate. You need to not charge me this, and you need to play by the rules of the existing practice. And in my mind, I was like so baffled, because when you go into an office, you pay your co-pays. What do you mean you don't pay your co-pays? What do you mean I need to waive this and combine this? And every patient had a different story of how we should be conducting business with them. But that made total, that was a disaster. We had no idea that we bought a faulty practice.
Mm. And so now that you've moved to Alhambra, everything is wonderful, right?
No, I think as long as you're a small business owner, you will have, there's always going to be some type of obstacle. When we started ground up in Alhambra, it was a brand new building, and my husband and I designed it, and we delayed our opening because our contractors ran off with the money. And so we had no furniture, and it was, 2 months delayed. And one of our friends said, you know what, we can't wait for these contractors to turn up with the money and bring your custom cabinets. We had to go to IKEA and just improvise. And our patients came into our office and said, we're so glad you reopened, but why is there no furniture? Why is everything so minimal? And we're like, well, we're working on it. So, there's just a lot of things that you cannot predict as much as you think or even have control over. So you just have to get really creative and really improvise along the way sometimes, especially when you're a small business owner.
When was that move to Alhambra?
That was, we've been in Alhambra for, I think, 9 years now. So 9 years ago.
Okay. Operating the same business that whole time?
Yes, same business.
Do you feel a little more secure?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've come a long way.
And so what role did this financial Peace University play in that then? So at what time in that 9 years was it that you got your education?
So what I realized was, I think sometimes as a small business owner, we constantly pour into our business, and we don't realize, because we're so afraid that if we lose our business, our whole livelihoods will be at stake, which there is some truth to it. But at the same token, if we are not understanding where our money is going in, we're not pouring it back into our own family's bucket, then what are we working for if we're not enjoying the fruits of our labor?
Sure.
So that taught us, 6 months emergency funds, right? It sounds so simple, but I was like, what? So 6 months emergency funds, all these things that you can do just to prepare yourself for in case things don't turn out right financially.
So how long was the education that you undertook?
I want to say it was a very short, like 2 or 3 month class. So it's very, very easy to learn. The hard part is applying it, because you can learn everything in school, but if you're not applying it, you're not going to enjoy the reward.
Sure. You shared a lot of small bits of struggles that this book had helped you with. I'd like to go in a little bit deeper with that, but first let's take a break and we'll get back to those struggles, okay?
The legal process can be intimidating. You don't know where to start and you're unsure of what to expect. The attorneys and staff at the law offices of Scott Wormuth have been serving the San Gabriel Valley for over 35 years, helping people just like you navigate through the legal process and ensuring you're treated fairly. You can find them at law888.com or call 626-282-6868. That's 626-282-6868.
And we're back. Okay, Cassie, so you mentioned some struggles that this book was really helpful to you in overcoming. Can you go a little bit deeper into that? What were you dealing with that this was such a help to you?
Let's see, where to start. Money troubles, huh? I think not having a security nest was one of it. Not knowing where money should be allocated, not understanding how to lower cost. It's just the most simple, basic things in terms of the business, and how even understanding how, as a husband or as a wife, how we handle money and view money very differently. My husband's really great at planning and working really hard, and I'm on the opposite spectrum of play hard and figure out how to really save so that you have this security net, so that you don't have this burden that's weighing on you because you think you're going to lose everything.
Sure.
So the discipline, I want to say, a lot of discipline.
The book has helped you with discipline in terms of finance, and that discipline has helped you to be able to enjoy having a business and owning a business. Right? How do you feel your business is doing now with this knowledge and in the location that you are in now?
I think we're really, really blessed. Our patients have been following us for several years. We have also been given the opportunity to really have, I know I'm digressing a little bit, but we have interns that come into our practice. So they're San Gabriel Valley college students who lived in San Gabriel Valley, but probably went to like a local university that aspired to be an optometrist. And so when we give them the opportunity to come in and intern in our practice, they get fully exposed to the good, the bad. I tell them, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you. I will tell you that it is not the end all and be all if you do decide to not become an optometrist, because if you know how to manage money, you will be okay. You will be okay. So.
And so you work with your husband, right? What's that like?
I used to work with him. I now am more behind the scenes, and it was very challenging. I will not lie. We have, both of us have very strong personalities, and but at the end of the day, I think sometimes I just have to lower my pride and just do our best to work together, because at the end of the day we're working towards the same finish line, which is, establishing a healthy practice. And really, for him, it's become more than a business for him, running the practice. He works extra long hours. He is so vested in the patients that come in on a personal level, spiritually, emotionally. And I mean, patients will come in and, tell me, oh, my eyes are fine. I just came here for the talk with Dr. Lam this year, just here for the pep talk. And so I feel like the practice it's beyond a financial means for us. It's become an opportunity and platform for us to build community for the patients, because we all live and grew up in San Gabriel Valley, and it's just such a niche community that I feel there's so many ways that we can help them.
What are the ways that you get involved in community?
So we allow them the opportunity to email us, and we invite them to our house, and we've developed friendships with these customers that want to have a relationship with us. The line isn't drawn between, oh, you're a patient, so we can't have a relationship outside this practice. And I think everything's been very relational. So they share many things with us in confidence, just the real life issues, marital, children, everything that you can think of, and even trying to understand the realms of like spiritually growing. So we offer that platform, and our doors are always open for our patients, our friends and family in terms of that aspect.
You have a certain passion for what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. Without that passion, could you be successful?
I don't think so. I think that if it's not coming from the heart, it will feel like a chore. It will feel like a task. So when things are done from a place of good intentions and just being very authentic and genuine about it, you feel so good knowing that you've made an impact, and it feels very natural. It doesn't feel like you're a superhero or anything like that. It feels like the right thing to do.
Did you develop that passion as you were building your business, or did you have it before and you knew that this is what you wanted to do, this business, this community at this time? How does it tie in?
I think my personality, I've always enjoyed being relational. It's not very hard for me, I feel like, to connect, take the initiative to be this open book for the people who want to get to know me. So I think that in that sense, it's always been very natural. And when we started the practice, that just, became a whole different platform for us in terms of having more exposure to just people outside of our circle.
So with all the diversity in the San Gabriel Valley, as a business owner that sees all these different cultures coming in, how is that difficult for your business? Or what What do you get from that?
The buying power is going to be a little different here in San Gabriel Valley because we have friends that have practices in, different parts of LA. So West LA, like Redondo Beach, right? It's quite different from San Gabriel Valley. The way people view purchasing or just the way they want to invest in certain products is, we're Asian Americans or even Mexican Americans. They're a lot more conservative. They're a lot more, they have to think twice about, am I going to make this purchase today? Because, because I can probably get it online for cheaper. And so that's been and I think that's been a struggle for a lot of private practices here in the area because when you're supporting a small business, it's not just, cheap, right? Like I'm here to buy the cheapest and, we're offering a service where we're here, it's beyond the glasses. It's the whole experience, right? And making sure that when you leave that you are able to see and that you're healthy. And so that's been, I want to say, one of the obstacles that some of those small business owners I hear express as well. Just a lot of us don't have a ton of money to just drop into things. People have to think twice about how they're going to spend the money and how they're going to spend it wisely.
Do you speak Vietnamese or any foreign language?
No, I grew up speaking Vietnamese, but I actually speak Hakanese, which is a really rare Chinese dialect. So that did not help me at all in Monterey Park.
And what about your clientele, ethnic, or even which languages do they speak?
So the common language that they speak is mostly Mandarin or Spanish. Yeah.
And how do you communicate? Do you have a Mandarin-speaking staff or a Spanish-speaking staff?
Yes, and my husband speaks enough to get through an eye exam. So yes, our staff
enough
speaks
Mandarin.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So are you ethnically Chinese?
Yes.
Okay.
But born in Vietnam.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We were just speaking about that, there's a lot of people that I know personally who culturally, I think that they're Vietnamese. Uh-huh. Their last name would indicate that they're Vietnamese, but they're in fact Chinese.
Mm-hmm. That would be me. I have a Vietnamese last name, but we're Chinese. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the San Gabriel or SGV3, we refer to as our lynch point here, where we talk about what are places, experiences, or things that are special about San Gabriel Valley to you, and what are your three most biggest influences or thoughts?
So being a small business owner, I'm pretty. I love walking into small businesses and supporting them. And I love hearing their story because there's so much commonality with the struggles. And so there are three that comes to mind that I've seen, that I've supported through the years since they started to open. So one of them would be Bella's. It's my friend's nail salon. And it's out here in Monterey Park. And
Bella's?
Yes, Bella's Nail Salon, and right there on Atlantic by East LA and in the city of Monterey Park. And I've seen her build this one little tiny store to now having like 4. Wow. 4 big nail salons, eyebrow studio. So she's also an immigrant person coming from immigrated here from Vietnam, and she is doing spectacular. So I just love seeing how they've transformed their business. And
where are they located besides that main store? Or the first store was in Monterey Park?
Yes, and then she has 2 more in Rancho Cucamonga. Yes.
Okay. So that is like number 1 on your list.
Yes. I mean, every girl likes to get their nails and manicure, pedicure done. So.
Right. Okay, what's number 2?
Number 2 would be this restaurant called Summer Rolls.
Oh, yes,
that's a popular
Where is that?
one.
Rosemead and Las Tunas?
Yes, so they have a second location right now. It's in Temple City. And I'm just so obsessed with their spring rolls.
Oh, yeah. So is that Vietnamese food?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that place too. That place is really good. You said they had a second location?
Yeah, in Temple City. So the
Okay.
original location is right there by In-N-Out, I think in Rosemead.
I've never been.
Yeah, that's their original location.
Okay.
And the owners there, they work really hard, and it's family owned and operated. And they've been doing this for a long time. So
And what's number 3?
the third one is there's a little bakery in El Monte. It's called Cafecito. And my friend we became friends. I was looking for churros. I love churros. And I said, I don't want to venture too far. There has to be churros in San Gabriel Valley. So I Yelped her and I came across her. And so she started this bakery, I want to say like a couple of years ago. And it's right there in El Monte. But in the evening, her mom makes like fresh pupusas. So they sell like fresh, like, have you had pupusas?
Is it El Salvadorian?
Yes. Oh, and it's so delicious. So that's what they have at night. So I just love how like the day they're a bakery, in the evening they're like a outdoor mini restaurant.
Okay, so Cassie, tell our audience about your business. Where can they find you?
We are in the city of Alhambra, located in the AAA shopping plaza, right across the street from LA Fitness, right there on Main Street.
Is that by there's an Arby's there?
Yes.
And the name of your practice?
MPO Eye Care.
Nice. And is there anything coming up with your business that you'd like to share with the audience?
I think we've still stick to the same philosophy. We're here to service you and really, try to help you beyond your eye care needs. Like, we're here to help you personally. If there's anything that we can do to help you grow, we're definitely there.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for being on the show, Cassie. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the SGV Master Key. You can find the full back catalog of the SGV Master Key podcast at sgvmasterkey.com. This show was produced and edited by Russell Mono of Kind Monster Productions. Thanks again for listening or watching. We'll see you again very soon in the next episode.
Nice mother. No, kind mother.